Hola Madridistas, welcome back to another episode of Let's Be Real podcast. If you guys are new here, don't forget to smash the likes and subscribe to the channel. We are on the road to 4K. Big up our sponsors as always, Talksport Fan Network. Everything on LBI is officially powered by the Talksport Fan Network. Um, Talksport, as you all know, is the biggest sports radio station in the world. Yeah, man, go show their social some love. They have been doing this supporting true fan football movements for quite a bit. So big up Talksport as always. Also go check out Fanatics as well, official partners of La Liga and Real Madrid. Make sure you use the affiliated link in the description below so that they know you came through us. Right then, Vallecas, man. I mean, it's always a tough game to play out, especially on the back of a Liverpool defeat. Um, Vallecas is one of the most intimidating stadiums in La Liga. Fair play to Rayo, the shoestring budget they operate on and the sort of football they play. All the more power to Rayo. They are sort of the one of the pantomime villains in La Liga for a reason. They uh, talk when it matters, and they really don't get you know drawn into these games where they have to sometimes match uh, teams with superior quality, yet they do actually tend to go toe to toe when when it shines the brightest, and that's why I respect Rayo so much, despite being a sort of pain in the ass for the last God knows what 4 years. We have been winless at the Vallecas for 4 years. It's a mad stat. We didn't even win at Vallecas when we actually won the league under Carlo in the second stint. We did win, at the Vallecas when we won the first league under Carlo in the second stint. But it, coming into this game, I knew what to expect. I knew that Vallecas is a ground that is super narrow. The team plays to its strengths. They try and suffocate every single side that come over to the Vallecas. We also what they did to Barcelona as well. Inigo Perez, if I'm not mistaken, the coach is one of the most sought after coaches in Europe. They tend to have a few, up and coming managers. Iraola, who manages Bournemouth, also came through their ranks. So they tend to provide Michel, the Girona coach. They tend to provide the best tools for up and coming managers, and they play a brand of football that is both lucrative and at the same time, yields results in the big games. So we knew what to expect. What I expected at the very minimum was, you know, get a 1-0 win because this is sort of the only competition at this moment in time, November 2025, that I do think we have a chance to, lay a claim going into, the new year, the Christmas period. But um, from the very first 15 minutes, I knew, what kind of game we were going to play and what kind of game Rayo was going to play. Thank fuck that some of our defenders were actually turned on. Even then, so Rayo created a lot of sticky situations for us to navigate, and I knew if Rayo scored one, it's game over. Thankfully, they didn't, but at the same time, we just looked so toothless. All the all the chats of striker Mbappe, no midfield. Put that all aside. Just ask the team this one question. You're playing against Rayo. They don't really park the bus necessarily, right? So you can't even call them a haram side per se. But then you walk away from this game with the likes of Mbappe, Vinicius, Jude Bellingham, Arda Güler, Brahim Diaz, Camavinga, Fede Valverde, one of the best ball playing centre backs in house, and you walk away from this with not even one single clear cut chance under your bag. I mean, why do you even turn up? This team is a team that doesn't look like a team. Simple as, it's a bunch of individuals trying to imprint their themselves on a particular night, on a particular game, and just hope and pray that someone else is on the same wavelength. That's what it looks like. Even under Carlo, even under the most you know even under the most stressful periods under Carlo, I never felt like these guys were absolutely clueless in terms of, yeah, they may be tactically a bit naive, but at least they had some sort of understanding on the pitch. This season, it's almost like, if you actually look closely, it's Mbappe and Arda Güler. That's it. That's the only connection we have in this 11-man team. It's beyond me. It's beyond me, man. Because the amount of times I see people trying to combine, and then, yeah, someone else being on a completely different page to the guy who's playing the ball. It's Yeah. I still do believe the Clasico was a major miracle. I came on here and said that a couple of times. I didn't want to ruin the mood. It is a miracle, man, and we're seeing exactly that. Liverpool Anfield away isn't an easy place to actually go and win. Vallecas, again, it's not an easy place to actually win. But the way we are moving, we have to actually pray that Celta Vigo does a number in Barcelona. Balados has been a pretty difficult place for Barcelona to go. But if I was a Barcelona player looking at how we played, and I have been watching this Real Madrid team for the last 3 months, they are easy to get at. I mean, I'm 100% positive that Hansi Flick and his army would be super confident that we are going to consistently drop points. This is, although our first draw of the season, we have seen the writing on the wall for weeks, for months. Over to you, Sahil. I'm done, man. This is pointless, to be honest.
Um, drab game of football, man. Like Real Madrid today just seemed and felt out of their depth, as they did against Liverpool. And you rightly mentioned that Liverpool away is not an easy game to play. Neither is Rayo Vallecano away. We know the sort of challenges that Vallecas, as a stadium and as a unit of supporters, leaves their imprint on sides that visit, especially the bigger sides, who they tend to frustrate without necessarily playing a very, very negative style of football. You could still argue that, you know, like any team that plays at home against Real Madrid um, is bound, in the league, is bound to want to seize some of the control of the ball and hit them on the counter. There's no doubt about that. But you couldn't make a case of for Rayo being negative. They took their chances when they were presented with um, and there was no major chance for them in the first half. But even then, the best chance of the second half, I would say, came for Rayo Vallecano, where De Frutos and EC Parathon, I believe, combined in the box, and Courtois was just there from close range. I don't know how that doesn't go in. On another day, that could have been, that would have bulged in the back of the net. And about Real Madrid, the fact that in the first half, all of our threat came down the left hand side from Vinicius, even though it wasn't particularly high quality, goal scoring threat. He consistently dribbled at the Rayo Vallecano players and struggled to beat them at times. Struggled to create much of an angle for him to pass the ball into Mbappe or take a shot himself. He did take one shot and it was poor from the angle that he did take it. And speaking of Mbappe, we just weren't able to find him in the right places to an extent where in the second half I think he even more so late in the first half, he chose to operate more on the edges or on the fringes of the the 18-yard box, and we see this several times with him where he's supposed to be our number nine, he's supposed to be our goal scoring threat, but the frustration just gets to him and he reverts to playing what his natural game supposes.
I'm done.
So
I'm done blaming Mbappe side. I'm done.
I'm
I'm
not
not
I'm not
gonna.
saying this is not a blame game,
No,
Sunil.
no,
This
no. I'm,
is
I'm, I'm just, I'm just adding to your point that the blame
mm,
should all be on the president, right? I've said this so many times. Xabi Alonso has a certain limit, a certain limit to how much he can exert himself on this team.
Yeah,
This team is run by Perez. This team is run by the board. If Xabi Alonso or at least one of his assistants had a say, Gonzalo would be on the pitch on so many occasions where we actually look toothless in attack. Just give us a reference point. Give us someone who we
yeah,
can whip a cross into. Because if you remember, during the last 10, 15 minutes of the game, we have whipping crosses into one guy, Jude Bellingham. That's it.
yeah.
Militao is struggling to even, just knock it down for someone. He's just leaping in the air and just, getting just weird touches, weird contact on the ball that doesn't
Mm.
go anywhere. I mean,
Even there, I was a little bit impressed with the fact that Raul Asensio took the chance to when he had the ball at his feet, he took the chance to marshal forward and play the pass deep into the Rayo Vallecano half, or he even took the opportunity to run into their box
it was
and
his
he
his
his
ball, right?
header.
That
There was
no,
it was
the ball that he played for Jude Bellingham, if you remember,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
uh,
It was him, and it was also his glancing header that didn't go too far off the Vakano post. So I don't
the
understand
Brahim
why.
cross, insane. That
Yes,
was insane.
yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we see the delivery that is there. We see that Arda and Brahim have the quality to get the ball to these guys' feet and to these guys' head. Um, but the final product and the quality in that final third is not something that Xabi Alonso can influence. So I don't see a particular angle from which I can shift that part of the blame to him. Certainly with the other functional aspects of this side, like why aren't we counter-attacking more? Why aren't we pushing the ball onto the other side with just distribution across the length of the field? Those are questions to be answered, and quite technical and tactical aspects of the game. But if someone asks me why Vinny keeps giving away the ball in the final third, or if why we keep passing the ball into no one or crossing it into no one, uh, that I feel is not an answer Xabi Alonso is even the right man to ask. Because
He's the one
as far
setting
as
up the
the
tactic style. I mean, come
I
on.
get that, but the quality in the final third, Sunay, he's not he can't kick these sorry, he can't teach these guys how to kick a football, right? If Winnie has a stray shot from 25 yards, it's not Xabi Alonso's fault. You need to you can get taught on how to break down a low block or a mid block and he's given them the exact precise tools to be able to work their way around a low block. He's given them Arda and Bellingham. Make best use of that. But I just feel like in the final third we are toothless. We are clueless at times. Not at times, just for most of most of these games that we watch. Which is why after the Liverpool game, I didn't even feel like obviously you could say that was a high quality opposition regardless of their form. Liverpool are one of the best sides in Europe, but it's not like we saw something there that was bound to change today. It was just a dull display, and you could say the same for
Mm.
today's performance as well.
I mean, you're right in saying that Xabi Alonso can really teach them how to finish the ball into the net. Like I completely get it, but at the same time, I would argue he doesn't do himself any favors. Fede Valverde keep playing every single fucking minute of every game.
Yeah,
Hoping for a miracle. I mean, he provides ample defensive solidity and the athleticism when it's required. But we haven't seen him going forward. I know for a fact he's playing through an injury, right? We have read the reports for the last week. He was even clutching his hamstring, and it took another 15 minutes for Xabi Alonso to actually force Trent on. Things like this really doesn't make any sense, right?
yeah,
Fede Valverde
yeah. I
has given
agree.
us zero going
I agree.
forward in the last month or so. There's nothing there on the right side,
There's
anyways,
also
right?
that's also a beneficiary of him being limited by his position. But yes, that is something that you can ask of Xabi Alonso. I'm not saying
Gonzalo
that
Garcia.
he's
Gonzalo
yeah,
Garcia doesn't get a look in.
absolutely.
Camavinga is a right winger. It worked once
It
against
worked once,
Barcelona,
but
but
he doesn't look at home in that position, not at all. I'm not saying that Xabi Alonso is immune to criticism, not at all. I'm saying the same thing that I said
he
when
is
it
a
came to Carlo
very naive
Ancelotti.
manager who is going to absolutely get sacked if this continues. Because I'm telling you, people ask me, the fucking idiots who rule the internet. I mean, the guys who has basically no lives to actually put out tweets, reply to tweets. put out memes, reply to memes, and do all of this. They really question, oh, why do the fans act like we are third or fourth in the league, and we are like 16th or 17th in the Champions League.
Just watch the games. That's all I say to those fans. Just
That's
watch the
it.
games.
Just watch the games. I mean, they ask, why does Xabi Alonso come under so much pressure after really putting us top of La Liga and arguably top 8, top 10 in the
And even
Champions
then,
League.
the only reason we're top of La Liga, Sinead, you could argue, is that Barcelona haven't been on their most free-firing form. Do we really want to become that team? Um, people think of Atletico Madrid as that team that wins the league once or twice in 10 years, in seasons where Real Madrid and Barcelona haven't been at their
Mm,
best.
yeah,
Do we want to
yeah.
become that side? I don't think
It's
so, Sinead.
it's with every passing week, it almost looks like, yeah, like you said, we're just relishing the scraps that the Barcelona uh, you know give once in a while, to be honest,
Yeah,
because
and
when
even
people
that won't
ask.
last.
Mm,
They,
it's not going to last, because we have
yeah,
discussed this for months, right? Barcelona in
in
the
the
league
league,
is
yes,
is a machine that always delivers. For me, when people ask me, why does Xabi Alonso come under so much pressure, the other answer is, this is Madrid, right? You can go a couple of games without winning, fair enough. Even the best teams, even the most successful sides, they go through patches where they look unconvincing, and they kind of take a bit to actually get back on their feet. That's absolutely fine. This is football, right? Even the most um, overpowered teams, come across teams or come across nights where they run into walls, right? It's absolutely fine. But for me, the evidence has been out there in clear daylight for weeks, for months, and the standards that this team has set up for themselves all throughout the history is playing a brand of football that is attractive, right? People used to blame Carlo. People used to blame Carlo at the like even when he wants things, even when he wasn't winning, he was always under blame. But for me, one of his most adamant advocates, I could clearly see, he gives his players a lot to explore. Yes, he sets them up with a light framework, but our attackers, they had some sense of freedom. Vinicius, Mbappe, Bellingham, Arda Güler, they they go missing, man. They go missing when the challenge they're up against is a bit more, a bit more, like, yeah, a bit more
a
stubborn.
little bit more,
Like
more, yeah, stubborn,
that's
and
what
and
that's what
just
I've seen. That's what I've seen. To be honest,
no,
these guys,
yeah.
they don't have the composure or the nous to actually play a
Mm.
system that demands strict positioning and strict rotations. We see patterns of the play that we have seen, all throughout Chabi's, 3 months or so, even in the Club World Cup. We see, certain patterns that do evoke the feeling that, oh yeah, like we play in a much more organized, structurally independent system. But yet these guys, when it comes to the final third, when they have to improvise, they almost look like robots. I mean, the
Absolutely.
amount of times, like you said, Sai, Vinicius, Mbappe, they take a shot from the edge of the box, trying to bend one in. It doesn't even go anywhere near near the goal, near the net. I mean,
Mm.
the best chance we had from outside the box was Arda Güler taking a punt. Um,
And Fede Valverde, the shot and goal.
yeah, yeah, but it's not good enough, is it?
No,
If the
absolutely not.
system
It
if the
just
system
feels
is in
a
the
little bit too much like
mm, mm,
they are beating around the bush a little bit, if I can, take the liberty to use that phrase. Um, and we've seen teams in the past use that as a strategy, as um, because teams in the past have been good at it. I remember Man City a few seasons ago when they went, like the season after the treble, I think, where they consistently scored from outside the box. So it's not a strategy that's not been used before. It's just you have to do it with enough conviction, and not as a last resort. It's not something that you can only do your prime strategy to break down the low block isn't working. I get that it's something to fall back on, but it's also got to be, quality wise, it's got to be good. And half the time, I see people like Vinicius take very very tame shots when I think his record from outside the box just I don't have the numbers here, but it would speak for itself if I did. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't bode well for Xabi Alonso. I'll be very honest, because the Madrid papers, they're going to have a field day for the next 2 weeks with the international break around the corner, right? I mean, if a system is put in place to actually make us perform well, okay, give us a sense of control that we lacked under previous managers. Fair enough, but if we can't muster one clear-cut chance, what is the fucking point? Like I've asked the same
Yeah.
question for the large part of Xabi Alonso's tenure. We need to give him
Mm.
time. We need to actually back him. I see, all the, super positive Madridistas out there, actually backing him. I get it to an extent, but at the same time, if we actually go without winning a single trophy, crashing out of the Champions League in the round of 16, I don't know if his job is going to be safe. Because if it is going to be safe, I'll be super worried. Because yeah, I'm not a fan of the whole manager Carousel being a part of Madrid. I was fortunate not to be a part of that era, right? But
Yeah.
we have had some sort of stability apart from the odd Rafa Benitez or
Mm.
Julio Lopetegui. Um, but I do think if things don't pan out for this season, we have to really look elsewhere. Bring in some stability, bring in Zidane if we could, before he actually sets his mind on the France national team job. Because at this moment in time, there is a clear disconnect between the players and Xabi Alonso. It's super evident. If you remember one of those instances where Thibaut, like I've said this so many times, right? Thibaut is the best goalkeeper in the world. Period. Nobody can question it. People who have eyes, has seen what he's capable of, right? Like he is just inhuman in terms of 1v1, shot saving. He's a bit suspect from long range. I mean, anyone can be, but at the same time, when it comes to his distribution, with the way he basically punts the ball every single time, it does my head in. It does my head in because either he is extremely nervous to actually play a 5 yard pass to his center backs, or he just doesn't trust his teammates at all. Because I've seen Thibaut being, fairly efficient on the ball, when he's asked to actually, be a sweeper keeper, you know, um, come outside his box and actually, try to build up play. Like I've seen that
Mm.
so many times. So it's more of, I do think, more of uh, his knowledge that he can't really trust his teammates to actually get out of a press if he actually do rely on them. Like if you remember, like during that play, I don't remember if it was
Yeah.
I think it was the first half. Xabi Alonso just lost his mind when
Mm.
Thibaut put the ball up the field. He does
No,
that
I know. Yeah.
three, four times a game.
Mm.
I just don't get, when so many fundamental pieces in a team is off color. How do we expect to win? How do we expect to win? Our striker's not in the box. Our goalkeeper doesn't have enough trust in his teammates to actually, play out of the back. Our wing back, Carreras, fair play to him. He had a couple of good interceptions, but did you see how he got bodied by Rateo? Which could have easily been
Yeah.
a goal in the first half. I mean, yeah, enough said, man.
I know.
Enough said, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah. No.
Kamavinga, decent dribble, and then a loose first touch leading to an immediate loss of possession. These guys have no composure. Like I'm sorry, to be playing at this level.
But Sunit, Thibaut with the ball at his feet, never been a strong suit. It does seem like there's some sort of a disconnect between him and his defenders when he just has to put the ball upfield. But it's not like that wasn't the case before Xabi Alonso came to the club. That's always been the case. He always has been nervy. He always has that those nervy moments once or twice every match where he doesn't seem or feel like the best keeper in the world anymore because he doesn't know what to do with the ball at his feet. But I feel that's something that most Real Madrid fans have already accepted
I don't
as
think he's
part
poor
of
with his
the.
feet, Sahil.
I
Wallahi, I don't
think
think he's poor. I don't
I
think
think
he's
he's now he's always been nervy with his feet. That's just an opinion of mine that I do hold, and I'm sure
he
most
can be
fans.
nervy, but he can't be nervy 30 times out of 30 times when he's asked to play the ball
He
out of the back, right? Like
he has in the past, Sunil. He
well,
just
I'll
feels
tell
the
you
need
for
to
a
boot the
fact.
ball up the pitch.
Well, I'll tell you for a fact. It doesn't really help us if he's booting the
Uh,
ball up
that
25
I do
out of
agree.
25 times,
I do agree.
30 out of 35 times. It doesn't really help us, does it?
I
Because
don't
we
deny
can we
that.
can
Yeah.
we can applaud him. We can laud him with all the plaudits. But if he can actually do the basics of what is required of a modern keeper, and actually give us some respite, I don't see why there should be questions on Thibaut, because if the manager is losing it, watching it, see, I'm telling you, he has a limit to how much he can influence the side. There is so many things beyond Xabi's control, which I really do start to wonder. How long will he last? This
But
is an
then
honest
you could
question.
say that about any manager at Real Madrid, no matter how big the persona of that particular manager is, be it Xabi Alonso, be it Jose Mourinho, or be it Carlo Ancelotti.
Zidane, the fuck. Okay, Zidane and Jose Mourinho had a level of authority that I do think Xabi Alonso
They had the level of
doesn't
authority
have.
to. In the end, they just said, I can't bear with this anymore." And Zidane left twice. He didn't
Fair
want to deal
enough,
with it
but
anymore. So
I'm telling you, these guys had a
I don't
lot
think
more
Xabi is
to
going to
say.
leave. I don't think Xabi
I
is
don't think he's going to
eventually going to
leave, but
leave.
I don't think he's going to
But
lose his job. Simple
but it's
as.
pointless. It's pointless talking about it because we keep mentioning it, and there is a level of authority and hierarchy that the board of this club does hold over the manager, whoever is in the managerial position, regardless. That hot seat
I don't
just
think
does
so,
not
but yeah.
hold the level of power that
Hmm.
Pep Guardiola at Man City has, because they prize him as the best manager in the world. Um, but also with little things like Courtois not being the best with his feet, that is something, like I mentioned before, Real Madrid fans have come to accept as part of the whole package that Courtois comes with. He is the best keeper in the world. He's not going to give you the best distribution or the best play with the ball at his feet, but he doesn't need to be, right. He saves us on nights like Anfield, and that's enough said about that, I think. It's just how many of the things that we complain about every game are coachable at the top level. How much of that can inherently be taught to these players, and how much of that just comes as a matter of skill and good decision making, because some of the decisions these guys take on the pitch, and no doubt the decision for Courtois to boot the ball up the pitch and not work on it is a seemingly terrible one. Like, it doesn't help us. You mentioned that he does that twice or thrice a game and he feels nervy. Um, but that's more between him and his goalkeeping coach, maybe, or just the way he plays. The same goes for Vinny taking useless shots from outside the box. It's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna change with Xabi Alonso having a word with him, because as far as I feel, the defense of this team is something that Xabi Alonso has managed to organize. And the midfield as well. It's very structurally embroidered, and there seem to be certain patterns of play. The more games that Jude and Arda and Kamavinga and Chouameni have together in midfield, it does seem like there is a certain repetitiveness to these patterns. But the attack, it doesn't have the same. It doesn't have the same. Uh, you know Patterns
Sahil,
or,
today's
or
midfield. Today's midfield. How many chances did they create in open play?
there was enough openings, Sunith. It's not like there weren't openings. It's just we failed to capitalize once we get in the final third. And yes, that is partly on players like Arda and Jude, but mostly I would say on players like Vinicius and Kylian Mbappe, who, if we're talking purely about the final third, then I'm looking towards those players, and you can include Jude as well in that to create something out of nothing. And if you leave that completely out of completely up to the players, um, knowing full well that the midfield is structurally balanced, the midfield and that the defense is well
There is
organized,
no balance. There is no balance to
and
this midfield. There's no
and
balance
saying
to
it's
this
relatively
defense.
balanced. There is there is good structure. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to
This
agree.
game
I'm
cried
gonna have to
out for a
disagree with you
ball
on this.
playing, cried out for a ball
Um,
playing midfielder in
I'm gonna
Ceballos.
have to
I
disagree
mean,
with you on this, but the midfield is well structured. I feel the defense is solid for now. It's just up front, things don't happen quick enough. Things don't happen frequently enough. And with the way these personalities, players like Mbappe and Vinicius, um, Brahim is someone you can mold into someone who can play different positions. But players like Mbappe and Vinicius will, on days like this when they don't create or produce enough uh, with regards to what they're best at, it will keep harming us, and that's not something that can be coached, in my opinion. At a club like Real Madrid, with the kind of personalities that are in our squad.
I'm not gonna leave any blame out for the midfield. You can disagree with me all you want, but I have eyes. I've seen this team for the last 3 months. They have moments. Arda Güler has a moment, has a couple of moments here and there for Mbappe. Jude Bellingham has himself had a good few goals leading up to this game, leading up to the Anfield game. But in general, they lack any synergy. I mean, Tchouaméni provides some sort of a base which I can rely on. Fair enough. But apart from that, Arda Güler, yes, for all his exploits, right, he creates a couple of decent chances a game. But in moments like this and in moments like Anfield, I just sit there and wonder, you know, we just don't have a midfield controller. We just don't have the guy who has just the right temperament to actually, feel out a game and look for what's best. Should I play it short?
Even
Should I go long? Should I rely on my centre backs a bit more rather than taking the risky pass always? This is a team that has too many players learning on the job, too many players who are inexperienced to frankly play at this level. And we are going to get more and more icky about the whole midfield situation, as the days go on, because this defense, as impenetrable as it looks, I've said this time and time again, all it needs is one well thought out play from the opposition to unlock this. We are acting like we are prime Mourinho, Mourinho Chelsea level. Sahil, are you here? I think we lost Sahil for a second. Um, just gonna text him quickly. Are you back, Sahil? Can you hear me? I can't hear you, Sahil. Yeah, I can. No. Say something.
1-2, 1-2, 1-2. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You're back, right? Okay.
All right. No, I think I just cut out for a moment because of
Okay,
my
okay.
mind.
hmm
But
See,
yeah,
the
you were
thing
saying.
is, no, like I was just trying to, point out my fact, my opinion that um, when it comes to the big games, we are going to get a lot more uncomfortable. When we're having conversations regarding our midfield and our defense. I've said this so many times. When we actually play sides that really know what our defenders are weak at, for example, Hausen just is a headless chicken. He was pulled off at halftime
Yeah.
because Xabi Alonso doesn't have any faith in this guy to actually see out the rest of the 45 on a yellow. Do you know how how crazy that is? I mean, he's only 19, he's only 20. I get it. But if a manager can't rely on you to actually keep your temperament and play it safe for the rest of the 45, not in the Champions League semi-final. Okay, this is Rayo away. I mean, it's a tough place to go. I get it, right? But these are some of the things that really does my head in. You look all throughout the pitch, there are so many players who we think, yeah, they're good, but can they really, really be those men who can actually pull us out of a sticky situation and see us through to the other side? I don't really think so. And like what Ashik has said in the comments over the last month or so. So many of these players relied on the experience of the guys we had, the Nachos, the Modric's, the Cruises, the Carvajals that we had to actually see games out. This team isn't fit
To
enough to
bail
win
us out as well.
silverware.
And also to bail us out, so like very
Mm-hmm.
importantly, I think it was Ganesh who mentioned it in the preview that we just don't have or see a lot of those games anymore. I don't know if you've noticed this, this decline in the trend of us winning games out of nowhere or us pulling out a miracle with a late goal, or just even pulling out a draw with a late goal or a couple of late goals. It doesn't happen anymore because the players, I think, are lost in belief a little bit, that we
They
can
lack
pull out
character.
games
I'm
off the
I'm
mark.
I'm very very sure about that. They lack a lot of
Yeah,
character.
I do agree. Yeah, I do agree. So that is something that has massive impact on how many games you win at Real Madrid, because you don't always have good games at Real Madrid. And even in seasons of the past where we've been incredibly successful and have had great trophy success, and
Mm.
um, like with silverware we haven't exactly produced the best performances on the pitch. But having said that, we always have had these players, these personalities who define games and who define titles. I remember Sergio Ramos defined pretty much single-handedly that 2016-17 season where we came from behind multiple times to win games or to snatch, to convert defeats into draws. So it shows a lot of character and character building and faith within a squad if you have games like that, which I just feel is lacking at the moment with this team, because there's nobody who's actually you know adding any sort of push within those last 10 minutes. I know Arda Güler also, he almost produced a goal in that last in stoppage time, but we don't see it frequently enough. When was the last time we actually had a game where we rescued a point or we won a game from a late goal? So I think that was my thought process during those last few
Mm.
minutes of today's
Yeah,
match.
yeah. If you remember, we had just one good play. If you remember, like we had a passage of what, like 20-25 passes around the edge of the box, and then Mbappe putting in a cross to Jude Bellingham, who knocks it down, basically, basically falling over. Um, and the ball falls into no man's land, and it's between Vinny and Arda, right? Vinny is eager to get the shot in, but then Arda is right behind him.
Mm,
Arda should shout at him and basically be like, "That's
mm,
my ball. Just back out of the way. I'm in a better position. I'm facing goal,
yeah,
right?" But there is no such communication between the players when it matters the most. I feel like it's all improvised
I feel
off the
because
cuff.
partly because
Yeah.
that's partly because neither of those players feel like they're supposed to be there. Both of those players in that situation, and,
Mm.
and I know what situation you're talking about, where Vinny actually had a shot and it was a tame one.
Yeah.
Should have left
Yeah.
left it for Arda, but neither of those players have the belief that they are supposed to be in that box to finish that opportunity. Both of them feel like the other one
Mm.
could do a better chance, a better opportunity. I don't think I think it's in the DNA of a good finisher to finish off chances. But again, you can't ask that of any of those players. You can't ask you can't ask Mbappe to be someone a predator in the box. You can't ask Courtois to be the best with the ball at his feet. Those are individual characteristics and traits of these footballers that we cannot mold at this stage of their careers.
Mm. And then I think that's pretty much it. I mean, this team doesn't leave us with anything for the next 2 weeks, because we'll be all we could actually do is basically now sit and wonder, what Barcelona is going to be doing in a couple hours time, and what kind of implication that's going to await us when we come back and play the likes of Man City, who are basically on a run now. They're back at their very best. We'll be playing at home.
Mm.
That's the only reason why I kind of have a bit of hope. But I'm gonna
That
repeat
might
this
be
again.
our only saving grace going into that
Mm,
fixture.
mm.
I was just saying
I'll,
that might be our only saving grace going into that
no, I
fixture.
get it. No, I get it. No, I get it. See, but the other thing, I'm going to say this again. Our away form is just appalling. It's almost looking like we get our identity, we get our character, we get our confidence zapped out of us every time we board a bus to go away somewhere. It's really concerning because at this rate, if we happen to get the round of 16. I'm not sure if it's all the way to the finals. The highest seeded team gets the home leg second. I'm not sure. Like I like people can correct me if I'm wrong, but if it doesn't really go away and we are asked to play crucial Champions League ties away in the second leg, do we have any faith that this team is gonna pull us through? No matter what the opposition is, I don't. The way we are playing, the way we look at each other, the way the players are looking at each other for inspiration. It's mad to me. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Mbappe was on a 8 game run, scoring in every La Liga game. But then when it came to a day like this, yeah, how many chances did he actually have at goal? Couple maybe. Nothing really to be like, oh yeah, the goalkeeper had a blinder. Um, yeah. Um, this team doesn't create enough chances, leaks goals on the wrong day. Today was the right day in terms of the defense. We still considered some high quality chances. Our midfield looks lost, right? A manager and the dressing room has constant friction, which I don't see how it's going to be resolved unless we move mad and pick up a couple of trophies this season, at least one major one, out of the Champions League and La Liga. Um, yeah, pray for Xabi Alonso, man. Pray for Xabi Alonso, and for all the people who are delusional.
It's a loop. It's a
Man,
loop, right?
mm, mm. What is the loop?
And I was just mentioning, it's a loop. Like to resolve that conflict, you have to win trophies, but also it feels a lot more like to win trophies, you have to resolve those conflicts.
Hmm.
It's the same as
Yeah.
you need a job for experience, and you need experience for a job. So
Mm. See, the conflict won't be resolved because Sahel, like you and me, we are fans, right? We are at home, we are watching the game, right? There are privileged fans who go to the stadium, who are season ticket holders. They can see it, we can see it. The people who analyze the game on a much deeper level, the analysts and the tacticals, they know it. Xabi Alonso and this team doesn't have a good relationship. It's as simple as that. I mean, I'm gonna die on this hill, right? The first season under Xabi Alonso, this is November. The squad simply doesn't respect him. They don't. There's up like maybe the only guy who feels like yeah, like I'm going crazy and I'm basically keeping him in his job is Mbappe. Mbappe and Xabi Alonso might have a good relationship, but all the others they are still finding their feet. They don't know what the fuck is going on. Simple as like from the body language of Vinicius, Jude Bellingham, you know, Hausen, you name it. These guys really don't fancy the manager. They just don't, you know. And we know how it's going to end up always when the players are not really fancying a manager. It's one way traffic. It's only going one way and it's
mm,
downhill, and it's going quick. One more high profile loss. Imagine we lose to Man City in the Champions League at home. Telling you, bro, the pressure is gonna be unimaginable and nothing
people
like
are
Xabi
coming
Alonso.
for the manager's head. Then
Yeah, nothing like Xabi Alonso has dealt with before. It's going to be some place that he doesn't want to go. So I just really hope. I love the guy. I loved him as a player. I see a lot of what Xabi Alonso is trying to do, but he has to really, really get this dressing room on his side before he can actually do anything. You know, yeah. For me, this just looks like a classic case of an inexperienced manager who I did say this. I did say this even before he was appointed. He is not going to command the same respect as Zidane would have. It's man. I mean, Xabi Alonso played for Madrid for 4 years, and those 4 years he won one La Liga, a Champions League, and a Copa del Rey. It's decent, but in terms of both longevity and the terms of icon status that he has at the Bernabeu. It's not the same when you compare it to Zidane. So I knew for a fact that people are not going to
It's
respect
not
him.
like Zidane had his best years. So it's not like Zidane had his best playing years at Real Madrid. Like
No,
he,
no, no. I'm not
he
talking.
was
I'm not
there during
talking
the
just.
latter part of his career.
No, I
Yes,
get it. No, I get it. No, I'm not. I'm not talking about the trophies racked up. I'm talking about the kind of um,
impact.
kind of respect, that Zidane would ask of his teammates,
Come on, yes.
of his dressing room. So it's a different equation completely. So Xabi Alonso, in that regard, has a long way to go. And from what I hear and from what I see on the pitch, right, there won't be smoke without fire, right? When Xabi Alonso started to be acting like he is the next big thing and asking way too much of his players, whereas players are really questioning, what he's about, right? Like he's no Pep Guardiola. He doesn't have the CV of a Guardiola. He doesn't have the track record of someone to, be that respected. Especially in an environment where you're walking into a dressing room with multiple Champions League winners. It was always going to be difficult. I knew it. I just hope he just sees this difficult period out and we get back to winning ways. There's only one
Um,
way to turn the
just a
season around.
correction.
Mm. Go on, Sam.
Just a correction. He does have a track record. He does have a track record, and his track record, in fact, does him a lot of favors because it is a small sample size. He just doesn't have enough experience, enough skin in the game that you would, boast with other managers that
The track
have had many, many
record
more years
in
as coaches
Leverkusen,
and the top
the
flight.
track Sile, the track record in
I'm
Leverkusen.
saying it does him a favor. It makes him look like a better manager than he might be. It does
Okay,
him a
okay, fair
favor.
enough. But again, like I'm kind of uh, picking back on what you just said. The Leverkusen win is good, right? But it's the Bundesliga, right? It's a side that would have zero expectations and a dressing room that would be very keen to buy into what Xabi Alonso believes in. This team, I don't think it's the same, you know, same kettle of fish, to be honest. But um, yeah, man. Any final thoughts, I?
I feel like we've spoken more about the recurring problems at hand
We
than the
always
game
do.
itself, and
We always do.
we always do, and that's just a theme because there's very little to talk about when frustrating evenings like this, I should say. Um, eat up your Sunday afternoon and evening. You spend
It
the
ruins my
first part of
fucking
your
mood,
day.
side.
Exactly. You spend the first part of the day excited to be able to watch 90 minutes of hopefully good football, and then it turns out to be 90 minutes of this drab. Um, but I would hope that this 2 weeks off gives some time for recuperation and for recovery for some of these players, both mentally and physically, because this team, I mentioned it, it looked out of its depth. It looked out of ideas against a team, even with the track record of Rayo Vallecano at home against us. It should not be struggling against because till today we haven't looked this clueless in front of in the attacking third, in the final attacking third, thus far in La Liga. So I just hope that there are certain changes that need to be brought about imminently, and the international break actually gives Xabi Alonso the time to both bring about those changes and implement them if possible. And yeah, just hope for the best. On the other side of the international break, like you said, we have Man City, which is a crucial game, which will decide where our season goes, where our European season goes from here. But yeah, that's about it from my side.
Yeah, I agree to a lot of that. I just hope we kind of survive this run of not scoring and actually looking devoid of any confidence.
Mediocrity, yes.
Mediocrity. Xabi Alonso, like this is my request, right? If you're feeling like Mbappe, Vinicius, and whoever is complimenting them isn't doing the job, you have to have the balls. Please, I repeat. I mean, Mbappe, yeah. I mean, fucking hell, you can't do much about that, can you? Right? Like he's on a blinder. He's basically a best player. Leave him on. I get why you would leave him on, but get other people in who can complement Mbappe. And let him be the guy who is praying on the edge of the box. Let him be the guy who is, not willing to make that run inside. Let him be the guy who shoots from, outside the box. Give Endrick a run of games. Give Gonzalo a run of games. Give something new to the attack. If you feel like we are looking super sterile, you can see this in 8K, 12K. I don't know what the fuck the technology is right now, right? He can see it. He has the best seats in the house, right? Get immediate injections of some sort of magic into the side when we need it. We can't always rely on Rodrigo coming on for Arda Güler, Rodrigo coming on for Vinny. Rodrigo hasn't done shit for the last year. His last La Liga goal came in January, right? His last goal period came in the Champions League in March. We can't rely on Rodrigo to actually save us anymore. There is a player in him, but he has absolutely lost the plot. Like, I don't know what to do with Rodrigo. Like, give Endrick a run of games. Gonzalo a chance, a proper chance. Let the guy start a game. Play him striker. Like, I know Vinicius is your biggest outlet on the left. Mbappe is your non-negotiable. Give Gonzalo a run of games. Surely, Sahil, it can't be as bad as this, can it?
No, I agree. This team needs a new set of ideas, not in the sense that it needs a new manager. It just needs a new injection of youthful energy. And I feel Endrick, even Mastantuono, and like you mentioned, Gonzalo can bring about that. And that's why one of our few bright spots today was Raul Asensio, because he is a player who usually doesn't start these games, but it was an injection of energy, of enthusiasm. He seemed,
to be honest,
like, a
he
player
had a good
who,
game. Yeah.
exactly, he doesn't always know what he's doing, but he's giving it his best effort. And sometimes with games and performances as dull as this one, you do need someone to pick their hand up and uh, just cause chaos and run into the opposition box, put their head to a ball, ask for the ball at his feet, even when he hasn't been playing too much. So I respect that for all his Ensio, for all his limitations, capability wise, that
If you remember
we're
his
so keen
tackle
to
from
point out
behind.
every time he makes a mistake.
Mm.
Yes, I do. Um, so I feel like we need more of just those personalities, I feel. Uh, and undoubtedly, when Carvajal comes back, he's going to be one of them, in a positive or negative sense. Only time will tell. But Gonzalo Garcia would be a good idea. So would Mastantuono when he does return from that injury.
Is Germany injured, or was this a case of resting him? Because I didn't read anything about Germany being injured.
No, he is injured, and the time period, I believe, was 3 weeks. I think a couple of
3 weeks,
weeks
yeah.
will be,
Okay.
yeah, eaten up by the international break.
The injury list doesn't look good, man. If you add Ferre to the list again, I mean, yeah, it doesn't look good at all. And also Trent gave Fred a run of games. I mean, I'm one of his biggest detractors. Like, I never thought he was, the right signing for us. I mean, he is here now. Give him a run of games. Give
Yes.
Valverde some sort of a rest. It really
It
bothers me
it
that.
only makes sense
Mm,
to start Trent if you have a focal point in the box, because you
mm,
mentioned that Arda and Mbappe is our only sort of connection on the pitch. But I seem to disagree. Like, Trent and Gonzalo Garcia was a clear connection that we saw
mm,
during
mm,
the Club World Cup in the United States.
mm,
But
mm,
that's just hasn't come to, that hasn't been sort of tried and tested again after that Club World Cup ended. And I'm kind of
mm.
disappointed at why. It's not like both of those players have been unavailable for a long period of time. I know Trent has been injured, but when I say new ideas, that is one of the new ideas I'm looking at. Trent and
Mm,
Gonzalo Garcia on the same pitch.
right. Xabi Alonso was saying, when asked about Trent, apparently he needs more time. I know people need more time, but I don't know, Xabi, if you have enough time to actually survive in this job the way it's looking. That's my plea to you. Just fix the fuck up and just yeah, make us look like a team that people are afraid to play. Make us look like a team that people really look at the calendar and go like, oh shit, we are playing Madrid. We don't have any sort of
No.
aura at this moment. Any talk of, oh, the reigning.
Despite being first,
Yeah,
despite
yeah,
being first in the league.
yeah. The perennial, European champions and all that crap, it doesn't amount to much if the people who don the shirt on on the night doesn't really, do their job. But yeah, man, big up people in the chat, big up people who are going to be tuning in later on as well. Big up our sponsors. Hopefully see you guys in a couple of weeks. I just hope, we come back in much better conditions than this, and really start to build up on what arguably would be a 3-point lead. I'm pretty sure Barcelona will be motivated enough to win at the Balaidos. I hope I'm wrong. Celta always, they do tend to have a number on Barcelona, but tonight, yeah, I don't expect them to do us any favors. We don't deserve any favors the way we are playing at this moment. But yeah, until next
Yeah.
time, boys. Hala Madrid.
Yes, folks. On that note, Hala Madrid.